And then I guess, what we all been waiting for, the moment we've been waiting for, Black Air Force energy in full effect. Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford. So, they had another face-to-face today. We've seen them both in the Black Air Forces. It wasn't as friendly today as it was in the past, so starting to get there, that weight cut starting to get to them, a little frustrated, agitated. They look like they both mean business. So fight on Saturday, Mo. What's your prediction? Tell me who you got.
This is probably, and the more and more I've been thinking about it, for the year, because I felt like when you go all the way back in 2019, I had Spence, right, like clear, right? Terrence Crawford was just moving up the division. I'm like, man, this guy don't want smoke, especially since he went and challenged Jeff Horn instead of challenging Errol Spence, which for me was a sign that this guy's a threat, right? But since then, Crawford, although his resume isn't comparable to Errol Spence's resume, he's still stopping everyone that he's faced, right? Whether it's TKO, mostly TKO, not necessarily like KOing people, right? But stopping them, TKO. Porter was a bit, controversial, right, with his father, but nonetheless, he stopped Sean Porter. And just looking at Terrence Crawford's skill set, I think it's definitely a very, very close fight than I initially thought back in 2019. But nevertheless, I'm still going with Errol the True Spence. I think Errol the True Spence will win and beat Terrence Crawford by decision. Unanimous or split decision, depending on the judges. It's a weird because sometimes the judges don't get it right. So, like, from my opinion, I may say, oh, it's unanimous decision, but they may get a split decision, which is pretty weird. But from my viewpoint, I think Errol Spence is going to beat him by unanimous decision.
Okay. Before I jump in, any reasons particularly, or just kind of that's what you feel?
So there's a number of reasons, right? I can get into it now. So I felt like, people said this as well. Spence is like the larger fighter, he's the bigger fighter, but I don't think it's just only that he's the larger fighter. I also believe because of his work rate. I think his work rate is a huge element to this fight. He's going to start off the gate much faster than Terrence Crawford because based off Terrence Crawford's previous fights, he kind of starts off a bit slow. He's kind of like trying to download, pick up on habits, and given the Sean Porter fight, he was down on scorecards against Sean Porter, right? Like he kind of was struggling up until he realized when he was down, he went out there and turned it up, right? I don't think he can do that against an Errol Spence type of fighter, right? You go out there and try to turn up because then Spence is also going to turn it up, right? So you got the work rate. In combination with the work rate, you have Errol Spence's body punching mechanics, right? Which is going to wear you out throughout the fight, right? How are you going to keep him off of you for 12 rounds, along with this work rate that constantly, increases along with his strength, which comes with his size and power and his punching aggressiveness, right? So I feel like when you have a person that's defensively responsible, fundamentally sound, right, that is an aggressive body puncher and has unlimited stamina, I think it's going to be a really, really tough fight, just generally. Errol Spence is going to force Terrence Crawford to stop him. Terrence Crawford is going to have to stop Errol Spence in order to win this fight. Yeah. But I think that's probably more unlikely than Errol Spence pulling out the fight. So that's my reason.
Okay. Well stated. So me, I just put it straight out there. I also have Errol Spence, so we're in agreement there. I know one thing that I think that frustrated me in this is when I speak to a lot of people, I respect either opinion. I respect if you have Errol, I respect if you have Terrence. But one thing I always ask the people who have Terrence is why, can you kind of break it down to me? And a lot of them, always say, oh, he can't be the same after the car incident. I don't know if that's true or not. What I've seen is him be successful after the accident, right? You know what I'm saying? So I would rather when I'm asking someone, they kind of just tell me from, this standpoint, Terrence is twitchy, he's a good count, something of that nature, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I know the car accident was crazy. I know it was severe. I know he had the eye surgery. but he hasn't shown me anything for me to say, okay, Spence is not the same guy. So I'm gonna have the same prediction that I've always had for this fight. I think Errol Spence wins the fight. I'm leaning towards a decision right now, but I'll tell you how it can be a stoppage, right? So, and the reason I'm picking Errol Spence is I think the consistent jab, like you said, the work rate, I think it's going to throw off Bud's timing a bit, and he's not going to have time to just download, and I think it's going to kind of force his hand to move faster than he wants to move because he can't get down on the scorecards. You know what I mean? But I think the constant jab is going to throw off Bud's timing. Of course, it's a fight; both guys are going to get hit, but I also see this fight, I don't know at what stage, but I see some of this fight looking like the second half of Benavidez' Plant, where, two guys are kind of tussling and who's first out the clinch. And I think that's going to be Errol Spence. So, and even though I know Bud is super strong, I just think when it comes in the terms of boxing and grappling, I think Errol's going to be strong. And I think he's going to kind of, dominate that space right there, kind of the positioning, framing Terrence Crawford and being first to the action after that. And then Terrence Crawford's ego. This is where I think potentially we could see if it's going to be a stoppage, even though I'm leaning towards decision right now. Mm-hmm. When Terrence gets hit clean, he wants to get it back right now. I got to get it back in blood right now. You know what I'm saying? So Errol lands a clean shot and Terrence kind of just sells out and say, okay, forget it. Let's fight. I think that plays into Errol Spence's favor. And I know everyone's, Bud is too smart for that, but, instincts are instincts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes instincts just trump what your brain tells you. And we've seen it all Terrence Crawford's career. When he gets hit hard, he's coming to get it back. But I just think Errol, I don't think if they were to stand there and just go blow for blow, I don't think that goes well for Terrence Crawford. Now, of course, Terrence Crawford's counter punching ability, I think, is very impressive. And I think that's what got Sean Porter, right? Mm-hmm. But I know everyone says, he turned up on Sean Porter. I'm not saying he didn't, but I thought it was inevitable. You know what I'm saying? Because in the spurts where Sean was being kind of sloppy, Terrence was bound to catch him eventually. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily just think he was just like, all right, it's time. I've been playing around all fight. I'm gonna put him away right now, even though that's kind of how it looks and that's how the narrative seems.
But he did turn it up. Like he became more aggressive though.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. It's not like he purposely was like, I'll be like days
time to end it right now.
I get what you mean.
But Spence often, I don't remember Spence leaping too much towards fighters. He doesn't open up crazy, so I think it makes it harder to land some of those counters. I think if Sean Porter was telling Crawford to go to Spence's body, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But what I do know is it puts you in range for Spence's body shot at that point. And I think that throughout the course of the fight can wear Terrence Crawford down a little bit, slow him down a little bit, the physicality. So just for those things that I named, I'm going with Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence is going to be undisputed champion. It's just the path that he's on. I just think it's written, the collecting individual belt by belt. Bud kind of just held on to his belt and just say, okay, I'm going to fight Errol. I'm going to just hold this hostage till I can fight Errol. You know what I'm saying? So Errol's been the one collecting the belt. So it kind of just seems right. And I'm not going to give you a divine intervention story, but I do think Errol Spence will win the fight. So my prediction is Errol Spence. I'll go split decision.
Okay. All right. That's not all. Do you think whoever wins this fight should be number one pound for pound?
Do I think they should be number one pound for pound? I'm gonna go ahead and say yes. I'm gonna say yes. Even though, let's say Terrence Crawford becomes undisputed, even though I don't like the way he did it, as far as just let somebody collect the belts and then fighting them, I do think the person that he would beat is a massive win. Yeah, one of the biggest wins anybody can have. You know what I'm saying? So I do think the winner of this fight is pound for pound number one fighter in the world, because if Errol go ahead and collects this last belt, just the journey to become undisputed will probably be the best journey we've seen towards undisputed.
Gotcha.
Yeah, in the glamour division, welterweight hasn't been done in the 4-belt era, or welterweight undisputed champion. I do think that would put him pound for pound number one fighter in the world.
Gotcha. Okay. And then especially given his streak of bad luck, right?
Yeah.
More exciting story. That would be a documentary in and of itself, right? So
yeah, I was listening to this song by my man Art Ads, right? And I know I know Spence is the underdog, but I mean, all that is like, never let this underdog catch you with his muzzle off. And I kind of just feel like that's the situation here. I feel like he's gonna show us something special on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. If he does, man, all praises to him. Best of luck to both fighters. Terrific. It's gonna be a terrific fight. I'm excited for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, tomorrow's Friday. I
Yeah,
can't wait to Saturday. You know what I mean?
it
So,
doesn't even feel real sometimes.
yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
even feel real sometimes. So I encourage everyone, please go out, get the pay-per-view, support these guys. Let's see another million, pay-per-view sold event this year. 2 in 1 year would be amazing. Go out and support these guys. This is the fight we've been waiting for. We've been asking for this fight for a long time, and now we have it. So, we got to step up and do our part as well.
right, right. Agreed.
Yeah. So, of course, like, comment, subscribe. Tell us who you got. Tell us why. Spence Crawford is here. It's going down. 2 cents short of $1. And we out.
Yeah.